I am Lu Shen. At 32, I regained my freedom today. 5 years ago, my partner, my fiancée, and her younger sister, the three of them conspired against me, and had me sent to prison on false charges. They were certain that 5 years in prison would ruin my life, and leave me with nothing. But they didn't know
that during those 5 years inside,
I met a powerful benefactor. I inherited a $100 billion fortune. I've already been reborn. Now that I'm out of prison, their good days are over. The sound of the iron gate closing behind me. I've heard it for 5 years. Hearing it from the inside is different from hearing it from the outside. The sun is blinding. I squinted my eyes. Standing at the prison gates, I took a deep breath. I held a clear plastic bag. Inside were the phone and wallet from the day I came in, and a watch that had stopped.
He called out to me from across the street.
With a condescending calmness. I didn't respond. I was looking at the car parked by the curb, a black Maybach. A business card was tucked under the windshield. 3 gold embossed words, Shun Tingyuan.
Brother, I saw Lu Shen raise his hands against someone. The man fell and couldn't get up, but he was going to keep kicking him.
I walked past Lu Yang.
I smelled expensive perfume.
5 years ago.
You wore cheap, dollar store cologne. Looks like that 500,000 served him well. Mr. Lu, my name is Joe. Elder Shen arranged for me to wait here for you before he passed. Everything Elder Shen left for you is here.
Su Jinyao was still standing by the car, pounding on the window at me. I can't hear her, let's go. I don't need to hear her anyway. It's time to settle the score. A Maybach pulls up to a luxury apartment building downtown. The elevator goes straight to the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook half the city's skyline. The handwriting is bold and powerful, but the strokes tremble at the ends. He wrote this in his final months.
Shengding Overseas Trust has a market value of 120 billion. 17 offshore accounts hold 38 billion in cash. 11 prime commercial real estate properties. At a conservative estimate, your personal assets exceed 180 billion.
Elder Shen knew I loved Longjing tea. 3 years ago, everyone thought he was just a common fraudster. A man in his 70s, with snow-white hair, thin, and hunched over. But I still shared my eggs with him, poured him hot water, and stood up for him when others caused trouble. I just felt that, no matter where you are, an old man shouldn't be treated that way. Until late one night, he suddenly spoke.
Xiao Lu, why are you in here?
I told him my story. He listened and fell silent for a long time.
My son did the same to me, he said.
From that day on, he taught me to read financial reports and analyze business models. Only later did I learn that he'd started from nothing and built a 100 billion empire over 40 years. Then, his own son, Shen Boan, teamed up with the board, forged a psychiatric evaluation, and sent him to prison. The charge was embezzlement, but the evidence was all faked, just like mine. Right before he passed away.
Xiao Lu, take this money and go live your life. As for Shen Boan, deal with him if you want, but don't feel like you have to.
That was the first time I'd cried since prison, and it was the last. From then on, I didn't need tears anymore. What I needed was patience. Old Joe, let's begin. The first night, I had Old Joe pull up their records from the last 5 years. Fang Zhouwan, my former partner, is now the CEO of Fang Technology. They're pre-IPO, all thanks to the core algorithm I wrote. Su Jinyao, my former fiancée, married Fang Zhouwan and started a PR firm. It's already listed. She's the industry's youngest female CEO. She loves that title. 5 years ago, she slapped me, trampled on my dignity, and got into Fang Zhouwan's car. Now she has fame and fortune, living a glamorous life. While I
spent 5 years eating moldy bread in a cell. Fang Technology's biggest client is Shenzhen Data. They have 800 million in annual orders, making up 42% of total revenue.
Tomorrow, set up a dinner with the head of Xingyan Data, and find out who Su Jinyao's PR firm's biggest supplier is.
Kangsing Media. They're also under Shengding.
Invite them both. 5 years ago, I was uprooted and left with nothing. Now I'm back. With 180 billion and a long list of debts to settle.
Lu Shen, let's meet up. We have things to discuss in person.
3 days after my release, Su Jinyao called. Her tone was flat, even a bit condescending.
Fine, I said. Sit.
Lu Shen, you're out. That's a good thing. The past is in the past. Your original shares in the company have been diluted. This confirmation needs your signature.
I used to hold a 35% stake. It's 0.3% on this document. The company is valued at 5 billion. In other words, I'm getting 15 million.
Brother, it hasn't been easy looking after this for you for 5 years. This is a significant amount. Take it, open a small shop, and you'll be fine.
Lu Shen, it's hard for someone with a record to return to the workforce. This money will at least help you through the transition. Of course, if you need any help, Jun and I can help you with some networking.
Where's the pen?
Page 3 and the last page. Sign and date it.
Text the transfer details to me.
Just as I thought. After 5 years in prison, he's completely broken.
Su Jinyao didn't laugh, nor did she stop him. Silence was her consent. Joe, about Shengyun Data and Kanxing Media, are the deals finalized?
The Fang Group's orders for next quarter are cancelled. Starting next week, Kanxing will stop supplying media resources.
15 million to buy out my shares, buy out 5 years in prison, buy out a partner, a fiancé, and all the rights of a biological brother. It really is quite a lot. Enough to make him regret it for a lifetime. Over the next 2 weeks, I didn't do anything personally. In the first week, Shengyun Data gave formal notice to terminate all partnerships. Orders worth 800 million vanished just like that. Partnerships, banks suddenly audited loan qualifications. 3 working capital loans totaling 200 million were called in early. The reason cited was abnormal risk assessment. Fang Zhouyuan went everywhere pulling strings and hosting dinners. But the friends he used to be buddy-buddy with were suddenly all busy. The second week, I went harder. At Fangxi Technology, 3 core technical leads resigned at the same time. Without them, projects came to a grinding halt. He smashed a laptop in his office. Things weren't going well for Su Jinyao, either. After being cut off, she lost 60% of her media channels. For several major clients, liquidated damages totaled 40 million. Other suppliers tripled their quotes. Did Fang Zhouyuan find anything?
The leads he found all point to internal strategic adjustments at Shengding. No one is targeting you. Su Jinyao is more sensitive than Fang Zhouyuan. She mentioned that the timing was too coincidental. But he dismissed it himself. His exact words were, a man who spent 5 years in prison. Who even signed over 15 million without a word. How could he have this kind of power?
Someone is still buying up Fangxi shares.
On the secondary market, in 2 weeks, it'll hit the disclosure threshold. It's those 3 shell companies you arranged.
The stock price dropped from 38 to 29. The more it drops, the more I buy, the more I buy, the more he panics. Friday night of the second week, Fang Zhouyuan's assistant called. Mr. Liu, President Fang would like to catch up with you. Would you do us the honor? No, I'm busy. That night, I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, holding the seal left by Elder Shen. It was carved with 4 words, unmoved like a mountain. Elder Shen once said, the most important thing in business isn't making your move fast, it's staying calm. The city lights flickered outside. One of them belonged to Fang Zhouyuan's home. I bet he won't be sleeping tonight. Week 4 after release. Lu Ying showed up. Mr. Liu, your sister is in the lobby. Security, let her up. Come in and talk.
Brother, something's wrong with the house.
It figures. 3 weeks ago, I had a lawyer file a title objection, the house our parents left us. After I went in, Su Jinyao immediately used a power of attorney to transfer my half to Lu Ying. Now the lawyer is citing lack of authorization to request a freeze.
Brother, was the title issue you're doing?
She lost a lot of weight. Sunken eyes, prominent cheekbones, but the jade bracelet and gold necklace were still there. Even though she's poor. Her vanity remains. You came here just for this? What did you say in court 5 years ago? I saw him intentionally hurt someone with my own eyes. Did you know that person was hired by Fang Zhouyuan for 200,000? Do you know that because of your testimony, the judge added 2 more years? 3 years became 5. You gave me those extra 2 years. Is that 500,000 all gone?
Brother, I know I was wrong.
Su Jinyao told me you'd only serve a few months. I didn't know the sentence would be so long.
You did not know. You just didn't want to know. 500,000 plus a house. You thought it was worth it. About how many years your own brother spent inside, that wasn't your concern.
Brother, please. That house is all I have. I really have nothing else.
Just leave.
Brother.
I said leave.
Brother, this place you're living in, where did you get the money?
I ignored her. The door closed.
Mr. Liu, are you all right?
When do we make the next move?
Fang Group stock fell another 4% today. According to plan, we can issue the takeover bid next Monday.
Change it. Wait until the business summit next month. Announce it in front of everyone.
Understood.
Fang Zhouyuan is freaked. He started his counterattack 2 weeks later. First, he found out that the 3 shell companies making the acquisitions were in the Cayman Islands, but the actual owners were hidden behind so many layers, he couldn't trace them. So, he took another approach, a media war. The headlines were getting more and more nuts. They used my mugshot in a prison uniform from 5 years ago. The content from the 3 source tabloids was identical. They were posted less than 10 minutes apart. Fang Zhouyuan's tactics were crude but effective. Su Jinyao was even more sinister. She spread rumors through the industry circles, claiming I was mentally unstable and potentially violent, warning others in the industry to stay safe. Once you're labeled as a dangerous person, anyone wanting to collab with me would have to weigh the risks.
Should we fight back? We have enough media connections.
To shut down all these tabloids. No rush, it won't matter. A brown craft envelope sat on the desk. It was an international package that arrived yesterday. Inside was a USB drive. The letter from attorney Shen read, "This is the last set of materials the late Mr. Shen entrusted to me. Please use it wisely." There were only 4 files inside, but each one was enough to put them behind bars. The first one, surveillance footage from a bar's VIP room 5 years ago. Fang Jieyuan and the victim secretly showing a 200,000 transfer record. They were both smiling. Dated 3 days before the incident. The second was Su Jingyao's voice. "Tell Lu Ying."
Just stick to the script. It's only 3 years. It'll be over soon. When he gets out, everything will be behind us. 500,000 plus that apartment is totally enough.
The third and fourth, bank transfer records, proving Su Jingyao transferred 500,000 to Lu Ying, along with chat screenshots of Fang Jieyuan asking the bar owner to delete the surveillance footage. He thought it was gone. But the security system had an automatic cloud backup. Mr. Shen's people found that backup. I sat in my chair for a long time. Old Joe refreshed my tea 3 times. When is the summit?
Next Wednesday.
Get ready. The 5 years they owe me. They'll pay it all back next Wednesday. The Shengding Business Summit is an annual event. It's the most prestigious business gathering in the city. Those who receive invitations are either heads of public companies, founders of tech unicorns, or partners from high-stakes investment firms. He went to great lengths to find a middleman who had been in the political and business circles for over a decade. After the middleman received a case of Maotai and a shopping cart worth 200,000, he gave Fang Jieyuan a tip. Someone on the summit committee is easy to talk to, but seats are limited. You'll have to earn it yourself. Fang Jieyuan had his Team Russia company profile overnight. The pitch deck was polished to a shine. They highlighted being a pre-IPO company, an AI unicorn, and having 300% annual revenue growth. Su Jingyao's PR firm also flooded the industry with promotional articles. The titles were increasingly sensational: the sudden rise of Fangxi Tech, the leader of a pre-IPO star enterprise, Fang Jieyuan to attend the Shengding Summit. This whole series of moves at this very occasion, to build hype for Fangxi's IPO new clients to fill the void left by Shengyan data. In the backstage lounge, Old Joe handed me a list. I scanned the guests invited to this summit. There was a name on the list circled in red.
He's the deputy director of the Municipal Commission of Economy and IT. He's been in contact with Fang Jieyuan for 3 months now. Fang Jieyuan put in a lot of effort to get him to back him up. They say even the speech was written by Fang Jieyuan's people.
I looked at the name and said nothing.
Mr. Liu, should we notify him to cancel his trip in advance?
No. Let him come. If he doesn't show up, Fang Jieyuan won't realize what he's lost. If he comes and sees that scene, Fang Jieyuan will never have a chance to recover. Old Joe nodded and checked the box next to that name on the list. Check if there are any financial transactions between this deputy director and Fang Jieyuan. If there are, this won't be just a simple business acquisition. It'll be much more than that. I'm not just here to humiliate Fang Jieyuan today. I'm here to flip the whole table on him.
The Shengding Summit has begun. Fang Jieyuan wore a custom-made black suit and polished leather shoes. Su Jingyao, wearing a white diamond necklace, linked arms with him as they entered the ballroom. Every few steps he took, someone would come up to greet him. Naturally, it wasn't because he was so well connected in the industry, but because those articles and that PPT had already spread through the circle. 300% growth was enough to drive 90% of the companies at the gala crazy.
President Fang, I heard your revenue tripled last quarter.
Fang Jieyuan smiled and took the business card. He casually patted the other man's shoulder.
It's nothing. We're planning to list on the innovation board next year.
Su Jingyao, standing beside him, smiled and nodded. We also have a deep collab with Shengding Group.
That one sentence drew in 3 more business cards. Just then, the host took the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special segment next. As everyone knows, Shengding Group's Overseas Strategic Fund has been operating discreetly in recent years. Today, we are very honored to invite the Shengding Overseas Fund's new helmsman to meet with everyone.
The room started buzzing. Shengding Overseas Fund. This name had been whispered in the circle for years, but almost no one had ever met the person in charge. All they knew was its massive scale, at least in the hundreds of billions. Fang Jieyuan held his bubbly, his gaze turning toward the stage. Su Jingyao also leaned forward slightly, curiosity flashing in her eyes.
Please welcome Mr. Lu Shen. Su Jinyao's expression changed instantly. The glass of bubbly in her hand shook.
And the golden liquid splashed out.
A few drops landing on her cuff. Lu Shen?
Don't worry, it's impossible. It must just be someone with the same name.
He hoped he had misheard, but he hadn't. His fingers gripped the glass tightly, his eyes fixed on the side of the stage. The entrepreneur next to him asked, "President Fang."
Who is this? Do you know him?
Fang Jieyuan didn't answer, just stared intently at the side of the stage. The curtain at the side of the stage opened. I walked out from backstage. I walked to the front and stood still. The lights hit my face. Over 300 people in the hall, all eyes converged on me. Fang Jieyuan saw me and was completely stunned. His face was full of disbelief. "Hello everyone, I'm Lu Shen, the new helmsman of Shengding Overseas Fund."
No, it's impossible.
Entrusted by Mr. Shen Tingyuan, I will henceforth take full management of the Shengding Overseas Strategic Fund and all its subsidiary assets.
Shen Tingyuan.
He's the founder of the powerhouse Shengding, the legendary figure who was kicked out of the company by his own son. Who on earth is this young man?
I can't believe he's taking the stage in old Master Shen's name.
I noticed a young investor, about 27 or 28 years old, wearing a t-shirt with a blazer over it. He clearly looks like he's from the tech world. I could see it clearly from the stage. They were passing something around. It was a news report from 5 years ago. Someone found that news story. A tech company founder suspected of commercial fraud, sentenced to 5 years in prison. His sentence ended just last month. The accompanying photo was taken outside the courthouse. A man in a prison uniform had his head down, next to a woman in a red dress. That woman in the red dress is Su Jingyao. The photo spread through the venue like a virus. People started taking photos. Some started recording. People were messaging in groups. Holy crap, isn't this the criminal from the news? Fang Jieyuan saw it. He saw the raised phones, and the whispering faces. He stood up to say something, but before he could speak, I continued. I'll take this opportunity today to announce the first move of the Shengding Overseas Fund.
They actually still have overseas assets? Old Master Lu actually handed the group over to such a young man.
But I didn't stop. The giant screen showed the logo of Fengshi Tech. The Shengding Overseas Fund has, through its subsidiaries, acquired a total of 31% of Fengshi Tech shares. The slide flipped to the next page, showing a detailed ownership structure and business registration records. Feng Jieyuan's hands were trembling. Cold sweat soaked his back before he noticed. He didn't even think to wipe it, just stared intently at the calm Lu Shen. His gaze was filled with terror and resentment. In accordance with regulations, we are officially launching a tender offer for Fengshi Technology. The offer price is $18 per share.
$18. Fengshi Technology stock was at $38 just last month. This isn't an acquisition, it's a blatant insult.
Someone in the audience couldn't help but laugh out loud. Before the laughter even stopped, Feng Jieyuan had already rushed out from his seat. He ran onto the stage faster than I expected, taking long strides. The hem of his suit jacket caught the air, making him look like a crazed bull.
This man is a scammer.
The hand he pointed at me was trembling, and his voice was sharp and dry, like sandpaper scraping against glass. The audience went silent for a moment. Feng Jieyuan looked around, breathing heavily, waiting for someone to speak up for him, but not one of the over 300 people made a sound. But my gaze remained calm. Feng Jieyuan's voice caught in his throat.
What right do you have? You're just an ex-con. What right do you have to buy my company?
Everyone's eyes darted between him and me. Your company? My voice wasn't loud, but the microphone carried every word to every corner of the venue. Who wrote the core algorithm for Fengshi Technology? You know the answer better than I do. Feng Jieyuan's voice caught in his throat. He couldn't refute it. Su Jingyao took a half step back. That half step Su Jingyao took didn't attract anyone's attention in the hall. But Feng Jieyuan noticed. He turned his head and glanced at Su Jingyao. Su Jingyao didn't look back. In that moment, it finally dawned on Feng Jieyuan. That half step had already widened the distance between them. It wasn't a physical distance, but a shift in position. The light from the big screen made his face look deathly pale. He slowly turned his head to look at me. I stood on the stage, hands in my pockets, with a calm expression. This was probably the first time he had truly seen my face. 5 years ago, you called me your brother. Then you sent me to prison. Today, I bought your company. I'm not charging you a cent. Consider it a discount. His lips trembled, but he couldn't say a single word. Behind him, over 300 people stared, along with the sound of Su Jinyao's heels as she backed away. As I walked off the stage, Feng Jieyuan was still standing there on the spot. For him, the real storm was just beginning. A gray-haired man in the front row stood up. He was the partner for Sweet Potato Capital's China region, the largest institutional investor in Fang's tech. He managed a fund worth over 20 billion.
He said something to the person beside him, but his voice carried through the silent hall. Notify the legal department. Reevaluate every collab with Fang's tech. Give me an answer by the end of the day. Pull out of everything that isn't a fit.
It was like a stone dropped into the room. Ripples spread outward in circles. More people looked down at their phones, whispering under the tables. Feng Jieyuan heard it, of course. Su Jinya stood right behind Feng Jieyuan, only 3 steps away, but she had no intention of helping him. On the face that had just been smiling sweetly at him, there was now only disgust and a look of pure malice.
Don't come closer, don't explain, don't say a word. Exiting the banquet hall, Lao Zhou is waiting in the hallway. Mr. Liu, the legal team over at the Fangs, has already initiated emergency procedures. They're expected to apply for a temporary injunction to block the acquisition.
They can't.
Why?
Because there's a clause in the Fang Corporation's bylaws. When a single shareholder holds over 30%, they can force a shareholder vote. I wrote that clause myself.
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Mr. Liu, what's your next move?
Notify the lawyers. Have the filing materials ready by 9 a.m. tomorrow. False accusations, framing, forging evidence, and obstruction of justice. File all 3 charges together.
Understood.
Also, look into the assets under Su Jinyao's name, specifically canceling media's taxes. And check Feng Jieyuan's private bank statements, see if there have been any suspicious transactions over the last 5 years.
What about Feng Jieyuan's father? He might also hold shares in the Fang Corporation.
Mr. Feng doesn't know about any of this. He's a victim too.
Mr. Liu, what were you thinking about on stage today?
I didn't answer. I was thinking about 5 years ago, the night I wrote those bylaws, the lights of the BBQ stand, the foam on the beer, the weight of Feng Jieyuan's hand on my shoulder, the warmth of Su Jinyao's palm. 5 years is long enough for a person to go from life to death. The elevator reached the basement. The doors opened. Back then, I thought I had a brother. I left that path open on purpose so our shares could balance each other out. I never expected that today he wouldn't be able to walk that path himself. So, I'll walk it for him. A black Maybach is parked in the space, the engine is still running. The taillights are glowing red. He didn't look at me. Or rather, his gaze was vacant.
Lu Shen.
He wanted to say something. His mouth moved twice, but only one syllable came out. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't an explanation. It wasn't an insult, either. It was that kind of sound, where you want to speak, but nothing comes out. Like a fish pulled out of the water, mouth moving, but gasping only air. When he sent me to prison 5 years ago, I looked at him for 2 seconds in the courtroom. He had his arm around Su Jinyao's waist then, smiling so happily. Now, he sits in the car alone, like an abandoned dog. I turned and walked away. A roar of regret echoed behind me. Heavy and hollow. 72 hours after the summit. Fang's technology stock price plummeted below $15, panic selling ensued, retail investors pulled out fast. Institutional investors were even faster. Fang Jieyuan's phone was ringing off the hook. It wasn't people asking for help, but people demanding money. Banks called in their loans. Suppliers demanded payments. Employees demanded answers. A long line formed outside his office. The board held 3 emergency meetings. The agenda was the same every time. Whether to accept Shengding Fund's takeover bid. Fang Jieyuan slammed the table, shouted, and threw things. But the results of the vote wouldn't change just because he broke a few glasses. At the 4th board meeting, Fang Jieyuan was quieter than the previous 3 times. He didn't break any glasses. Nor did he shout. He sat at the head of the table. With a document spread out before him, it was a defense strategy he had his lawyers draft overnight.
Everyone, the takeover bid procedure is non-compliant. To force a shareholders meeting with a 30% stake, one must hold the shares for over 6 consecutive months. Shengding Fund's affiliates have only been registered for 4 months at most. If we object to this, the acquisition process can be halted immediately.
The room went silent for 2 seconds.
President Fang, you're referring to the old corporate law. The amendments made last year have removed the 6-month holding requirement. Now, any stake over 30% is enough to trigger it. The chief legal officer had said on the phone last night that he would support his decision.
The voting began. 7 votes in favor. 2 votes against. 1 abstention. Fang Jieyuan's 2 opposing votes came from himself and one of the puppets he planted. Why one of? Because the other puppet voted in favor. That puppet was named Zhao Mingyuan, whom Fang Jieyuan personally headhunted from Ruanwai. He had been with the company for 4 years, and Fang Jieyuan always considered him one of his own. But right before the meeting, Zhao Mingyuan approached him privately. "You're voting in favor? What is this?"
3 years ago, you made me cook the books. To report R&D expenses, we inflated profits by 12 million. I kept the original ledger. The original is in a safe. And my wife has the key. I knew you'd drag me down with you eventually. So this time, I'm out first. Don't look for me again.
The board finally approved the acquisition. When Fang Jieyuan stood up from his office chair, the chair didn't tip over. He steadied himself against the back of it and slowly walked out. His gait seemed normal, but everyone could see he was barely holding it together. From total support to being utterly abandoned, it only took 3 days.
It was all over.
The events that followed standard procedure. Equity was transferred, management changed, and the core team was restructured. On the day he was kicked out of the company, Fang Jieyuan didn't go home. He went to the downtown branch of Chengdu Bank. He wanted to take the money from his personal accounts and transfer it all to an offshore Swiss account. The Swiss account manager had spoken with him on the phone just last week and said everything was ready. Shengding Group's overseas fund officially completed its acquisition of Fang Tech Holdings. The new leader, Lu Shen, announced that he would conduct a comprehensive restructuring of the company. Industry analysts believe this marks the official entry of multi-billion-dollar capital into the AI sector.
Mr. Fang, your accounts are currently frozen. According to a court order for asset preservation, during the litigation period, all outgoing transactions are temporarily suspended.
A preservation order? From whom?
The legal team for Shengding Overseas Fund. It was submitted yesterday at 4 p.m. It involves 67 accounts, including domestic currency and offshore accounts.
All 67? Every single one?
Fang Jieyuan stood at the counter, his knees feeling a bit weak.
I can at least withdraw some cash, right? Say, 500,000?
I'm sorry, Mr. Fang. All accounts are frozen, including your savings accounts. We can't process any withdrawals or transfers.
There were 3 people in line behind him. A woman carrying a grocery basket impatiently took a step forward. Fang Zheyuan looked back at her. She gave him a dirty look. What about my credit cards?
Well, your 5 credit cards have also been suspended by the issuing banks. The credit limits have been reduced to 0.
He stood at the counter for 3 whole minutes, motionless. Then he turned and walked away. The automatic doors at the entrance opened and closed twice in front of him before he finally stepped out. Fang Zheyuan was kicked out of the company he founded himself. On the day he cleared out his office, he carried out 3 cardboard boxes. The security guard stood by and watched the whole time. When he reached the main entrance, he stopped for a moment. He looked back at the company logo on the reception wall. That logo was something he spent 3 sleepless nights designing 5 years ago. He stared at it for 5 seconds, then lowered his head and got into a taxi. It wasn't his Porsche. The bank had already towed the Porsche away. The tow truck arrived at 7 a.m., while Fang Zheyuan was still upstairs moving out. When the security guard told him, he froze for a moment, then went back to packing his boxes. He acted as if the car wasn't his. Like he knew this day would come all along. But everyone could see that his hands were shaking. He put the books in, then took them out, then put them back in again. He did this 3 times. Finally, he walked out the door. A taxi was waiting at the curb. He got in and gave an address. The driver asked,
Is that your home, sir?
He'd already sold off his expensive suits. He only had one left. A rented suit and a faded white shirt. It was what they wore back when they first started. The car drove away, the Porsche's parking spot was empty. The white lines of the space remained, but there was nothing there.
Su Jinyao had it even worse than Fang Zheyuan. After Kensing Media cut her off, her PR firm lost 4 major clients in a row. Liquidated damages and operating costs were suffocating her. 3 days later, Fang Zheyuan told her to go to the office to pack her things. Simply put, he was too ashamed to show up himself. But inside a hidden layer of the safe, she found a prenup. The agreement was dated a month before they tied the knot. The terms were exhaustive. All properties under Fang Zheyuan's name, his vehicles and company shares, his trust funds, had all been transferred before the marriage into an irrevocable trust, belonging to Fang Zheyuan personally. Marital assets were limited to salary income earned during the marriage. She stared at those words for a long time. It turned out that after 3 years of marriage, she had nothing to her name. She thought she was the lady of Fang Tech, but it was all just an act. She was just like Lu Shen and Lu Ying, who was bought for 500,000. They were all just pawns on Fang Zheyuan's chessboard. Everyone around him was just a tool. Su Jinyao didn't cry, nor did she smash anything. She just folded the agreement and put it in her bag. She tried to find new investors to keep the company afloat, but after the summit, no one dared to stand by her. In the 6th week, the company's cash flow dried up completely. Salaries couldn't be paid, and the employees demanded their wages. She sold everything she could,
including her car, bags, jewelry, and watches.
Finally, she couldn't even afford the office rent. The company collapsed.
The title of the industry's youngest female CEO
was completely shattered.
About Lu Ying, after the property was frozen, the court quickly moved the case to trial. My lawyer submitted sufficient evidence showing the deed transfer lacked my authorization, making the proxy actions void. The court ruled to restore the title to its original registered status, which means Lu Ying and I each own 50%. Then I instructed my lawyer to petition for an auction as a co-owner. Lu Ying couldn't afford to buy out my 50%. Besides calling me 17 times, he did something else. He went out of his way to find the contact info for my college roommate, Zhang Wei. Once the call went through, he cried for 20 minutes. Zhang Wei couldn't get a word in. He begged Zhang Wei to pass a message to me.
Brother, I know I was wrong. I don't want to lose you.
Zhang Wei told Lao Zhou about it. When Lao Zhou relayed it to me, I was reviewing a document. He didn't know that Zhang Wei had taken 5,000 from Fang Zheyuan in his junior year to take an advanced math exam for him. So every path Lu Ying took for help
was a dead end.
The lines Fang Zheyuan planted back then were far more than he imagined. He thought he was looking for help, but he was actually struggling in Fang Zheyuan's web. Naturally, he couldn't stop the auction. On the day it hit the auction site, Lu Ying called me 17 times.
Miss Lu, Mr. Lu asked me to tell you that the auction proceeds will be distributed proportionally. You can just go to the bank to collect them when the time comes.
Before reporting the case, an uninvited guest arrived at the apartment. He was a man in his 70s, with hair that was completely white. He wore a faded, grayish suit. In his hand, he carried a black briefcase. The leather was worn shiny, and it had clearly been used for many years. Old Joe held him at the door for 10 minutes. Finally, old Joe came up to ask me. Let him in. The old man introduced himself as Mr. Wen. My name is Wen. I was Mr. Shen Tingyuan's designated executor and attorney. He and Shen Tingyuan were old friends, with a 40-year friendship. Attorney Wen took 2 items out of his briefcase, a brass key and a letter. Mr. Shen instructed that you should only open this after you've handled everything.
What's the key for?
A safe deposit box at the South District Commercial Bank. There are things inside. Mr. Shen didn't tell me what they were.
He said only Lu Shen himself can open it.
I took the key and the letter. The key was light and the envelope was thin. There was no recipient on the envelope. It only said, waiting for your return. 3 days after Fang Zheyuan was kicked out of the company, Su Jinyao made her move. Before she came to see me, she went to see Fang Zheyuan first. That day, the old Fang estate was as quiet as an empty shell. Fang Zheyuan was sitting in the living room drinking, his eyes were bloodshot. His shirt was scrunchy and wrinkled. It looked like he'd been sleeping on that sofa for 2 days. Su Jinyao threw the prenup in front of him.
Fang Zheyuan, you transferred everything before we got married. What do you take me for?
Su Jinyao, if you could betray Lu Shen back then, how could I not have a backup plan?
Su Jinyao smashed the vase on the coffee table, shards flew everywhere, one piece cut his calf. Blood trickled down his ankle. She ignored Fang Zheyuan. She didn't even care about him as she drove to my place. Then she turned and left.
Come back. If you leave, there will be nothing left.
But Su Jinyao never looked back. But when he came to see me, it wasn't just to beg for mercy. In his bag were 3 years of Fang Zheyuan's tax records and a backup recording of a call bribing an official. She was ready to burn it all to the ground with Fang Zheyuan.
He didn't have an appointment. He straight up showed up at my apartment building. He blocked Joe's car. Mr. Lu. Miss Su said she has something she must tell you in person. She said if you won't see her, she'll keep waiting downstairs.
I looked out the window. It was raining, light but steady. Su Jinyao didn't have an umbrella. She stood in the rain.
Mr. Lu, there's one more thing. I had the driver keep an eye on Su Jinyao's car. A black Passat has been following her. It's been tailing her for at least 40 minutes.
Whose car is it?
It's registered to Fang Zheyuan's father, under a shell company.
After the two of them completely fell out.
Fang Zheyuan's first instinct wasn't to win her back,
but to send someone to tail Su Jinyao. He's afraid she'll take things from the company, and afraid she'll become a sword turned against him. To be so ruthless to the person he was once closest to, he can be that cold-blooded. Someone like that stopped being human a long time ago. Send a few people to keep an eye on things. I'm not trying to protect Su Jinyao. I just want him to stay alive to atone for his sins.
Understood.
I thought for 3 seconds before letting him up. When the door opened, he was soaked to the bone.
Lu Shen.
His hands were shaking. The USB drive almost fell to the floor.
Inside are all of Fang Zheyuan's tax records from the past 3 years. There are also screenshots of his transfers to a Jingxi committee official. Each was over $500,000. There were 8 transfers in total.
I could have found these myself. Su Jinyao, if you had come before the summit, there might have been room to negotiate. But you're too late. He thought he was holding a trump card that gave him leverage over me. If there's nothing else, please leave.
Lu Shen, I'm so sorry. But I'm just here because I want to talk.
Talk about what?
About Fang Zheyuan. I know you're not just coming after him.
What do you think?
I know you hate me. You have every reason to. What happened 5 years ago was my fault. Lu Shen, can you please just let me finish? Back then, when Fang Zheyuan told me to contact Lu Ying, I refused. I refused 3 times. The day after the 3rd time I said no, my younger brother's company received an $800,000 tax fine. That same afternoon, Fang Zheyuan met me in the garage.
I paid all your younger brother's medical bills. I paid for your mother's nursing home, too. Are you sure you want to cross me?
Su Jinyao. What you want to say, I can probably guess. It's nothing more than you being young and naive back then, manipulated by Fang Zheyuan's threats and bribes, and making the wrong choice. You're full of regret, and you want to make amends. She froze because what I said was exactly what she had prepared to say, but I don't need to hear it. A recording started playing in the parlor. Su Jinyao's voice.
Tell Lu Ying to just follow the script. It's only 3 years. It'll pass quickly. Once she gets the money, she'll be fine. She's been like that since she was a kid. Give her a piece of candy and she'll call you mom.
The recording kept playing. The tablet speaker brought back the voice from 5 years ago. Every word was crystal clear. The way she and Fang Zhouyuan laughed together so lighthearted and cheerful, like they were just discussing what to have for dinner. Su Jinyao's lips moved several times, but her voice was broken and faint. Su Jinyao's knees went weak. Is Su Jinyao legit?
She has something of ours.
What if she turns on us?
Just brush that woman off.
She doesn't have much of a brain. Give her some money, but what will really crush her?
Isn't what she says herself. It's what Fang Zhouyuan said in another recording. If things really blow up,
just let her take the fall. She's not clean anyways. Reporting it would just be turning herself in.
Su Jinyao heard this. Her knee hit the corner of the coffee table, but she wasn't feeling it. She thought she was a partner, or at least a pawn, but the recording told her that in his eyes, she wasn't even a pawn. She was just a rag to be tossed after use, and then stepped on. Su Jinyao's fingers loosened. Her hand, which was gripping my shirt, slowly slid down. She sat on the floor, despondent, her body shaking uncontrollably. Fang Zhouyuan prepared everything. The evidence is ready. The money is ready. Who do you think I should give these to?
The police or the media?
A long time passed. Maybe a few minutes, or maybe just a few seconds. She suddenly stopped crying. She looked up, her eyes swollen like peaches, but her gaze suddenly became very clear. That clear look. I saw it once in a person in prison. After hitting rock bottom, it's the look of someone who suddenly snaps awake.
I can cooperate with you. I have recordings of his calls with officials from the Economic Commission. He has text screenshots. He has WeChat screenshots of him telling me to bribe Lu Ying.
You don't need to make a deal with me. The DA's office will come for your testimony. Whether you're proactive or reactive, the result is the same. Those who deserve prison will go there. Those who deserve leniency will get it. It's not up to me. Because she finally realized that since 5 years ago, as far as I was concerned, she had nothing left that could be called leverage.
Lu Shen, I'm begging you. Please, I'll do anything. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it.
Su Jinyao finally broke down. Rain and tears mixed together, pooling on the ground. 5 years ago, this woman wore a red dress and high heels, standing at the courthouse entrance, waiting for the bailiffs to take me away. Her expression was calm. There was even a hint of a relieved smile on her face. Fang Zhouyuan stood beside her, his arm around her waist. The sun was shining that day. But it's not shining now. It's raining outside, and she's kneeling before me. Su Jinyao looked up abruptly. Do you remember what you said to Fang Zhouyuan outside the courthouse 5 years ago? Her eyes were wide, her face streaked with tears. You said it was finally all cleaned up. She swayed slightly. Now, I've cleaned it up too. Lao Zhou, show her out, hand the original evidence to the lawyer tomorrow. Report it to the police, and make it public.
Su Jinyao shrieked my name behind me.
I didn't look back. The door cut off her cries and screams. I couldn't make out the words. It went from pleading and breakdown to hysteria, then slowly faded into sobbing. Then came Lao Zhou's voice. The door closed. Total silence. After Su Jinyao left,
Old Joe came in. Mr. Liu, I had the tech team analyze it. Besides the tax records, there's also a call recording. It's between Fang Zhouyuan and a man named Lu Jianguo.
Who is Lu Jianguo?
He's the deputy director of the Industrial Development Office. Last year, he approved an industrial park for FangTech, covering 20 acres of land. In the recording, Fang Zhouyuan promised to give him a 2% stake in FangTech, plus a $50,000 annual consulting fee.
He's finished once this evidence is submitted. And Fang Zhouyuan's bribery charge will stay for sure. Besides, it's more serious than malicious prosecution. If malicious prosecution was about sending me to prison, then bribery is about stuffing money into an official's pocket. Make 3 separate backups of this recording. Keep 1 copy for yourself, and put 1 in a bank safe deposit box.
Understood.
After Su Jinyao left, I stood in the living room. The sound of rain drifted in from outside. The phrase, all cleaned up, when I said it, felt more like a confirmation than a satisfaction. 5 years ago, at the courthouse entrance, when Su Jinyao said those words, she was smiling, but she didn't realize that it wasn't just a relationship, it was a person's life. It was my life. The first lesson I learned in prison wasn't about the law or professional skills. It's that when a person is uprooted, the roots break, and once they're broken, they can't be reattached. So when I say it's been cleaned up, it's not about payback. It's confirming that what Su Jinyao did is now being returned to her. No more, no less, but not enough to crush her. Because crushing her isn't what I want. Remember the weight of that sentence. Remember 5 years ago, when she was smiling at the courthouse entrance. What she cleaned up was a living human being. As old Zhou's footsteps faded, I sat down at the desk, opened the drawer, and took out Elder Shun's letter again. I had already read it many times, but whenever I felt restless, I would take it out to look at it once more. The last line of the letter said, Lu, in this life, once some debts are collected, let them go, maybe in the future. But totally not today. There's still one thing left to do today. Old Zhou, where is Fang Zhouyuan now?
He went back to his father's old house.
Notify the lawyer. Tomorrow morning at 10, submit the original evidence to the police. File a formal report as the victim.
Understood. The charges are false accusation, forgery of evidence, and obstruction of justice. With these combined charges, how long will he be in there? Based on the severity of the case,
3 to 7 years. 3 to 7 years. About the same amount of time I spent inside. Do it. The rain outside has picked up. This is only the first step. Patriarch Lu. I'll collect your debt as well. The next morning at 9:30, old Joe drove me there. At 10 sharp, the lawyer submitted all the evidence. At 2 p.m., they issued a summons for Fang Jiewon. When the plainclothes officers knocked, Fang Jiewon was in his study. He was reportedly using a shredder, but it was too late. When the officers entered, the shredder had processed less than a third. What he didn't know was that his personal assistant, Miss Chen, 3 days ago, had already handed the key backups to old Joe. Miss Chen had been at Fang Tech for 4 years. On the surface, she was his distant relative, but in reality, she hated him even more. Because 3 years ago, Fang Jieyuan withheld her year-end bonus. It was for her mother's surgery, 30,000. He wouldn't even pay 30,000. When the officers took him away, the shredder was still running. Paper strips overflowed from the bin, scattering all over the floor. The moment he was escorted into the car, he looked back at the estate's main gate. Mr. Fang didn't come out. He didn't even say a word. Fang Jiewon tried to struggle. Looking back toward the estate,
he shouted, "Dad!"
In Fang Jieyuan's eyes, the last spark of light went out. Su Jinyao was summoned the next day. She wasn't arrested. But as a suspected accomplice, she had to cooperate with the investigation. As she walked through the doors, her hands gripped her bag strapped tightly. The bag was a knockoff. The real ones had been sold long ago. Lu Ying was the third to be summoned. Perjury. She sat in the interrogation room for 4 hours. Crying the entire time. For the first 2 hours, she didn't say a word. The interrogator pushed the transcript over, and she just stared at the words without speaking. Her fingers mindlessly twirled the rubber band on her wrist. In the 3rd hour, she started talking. She told them how Fang Jieyuan's men found her. They cornered her at the convenience store where she worked. They used the video of her boyfriend's surgery to threaten her. That video was only 47 seconds long, but she had watched it countless times.
Every frame was etched into her mind. Your boyfriend passed away 3 years ago.
She looked the interrogator in the eye and said every word clearly.
Because of my brother. He didn't know anything. I know he hates me. But he shouldn't have spent 5 years inside. He's not the one who belongs in there. Neither am I. It's Fang Jieyuan.
The interrogator handed her the transcript to sign. When she picked up the pen, her hand shook too much to sign her name. It took 3 tries to finish. Finally, she said one last thing, which the officer relayed to old Joe.
My brother was so good to me back then. I shouldn't have done that.
The phrase asking for forgiveness, said 5 years ago versus 5 years later,
carries a completely different weight. If said 5 years ago, I might have forgiven her. But it's pointless now. Saying it 5 years later is just meaningless garbage. Pointless doesn't mean forgiveness, it just means it's in the past. The case is moving faster than expected. Fang Jieyuan's charges are essentially confirmed. Surveillance, bank records, and audio evidence.
It's an airtight case, plus the recorded confession.
The entire setup has been reconstructed perfectly. On the day of the sentencing, the courthouse was more crowded than expected. Not mainstream media,
but independent creators.
Oh wait, you'll see. This case today is better than any TV show. A fiancé teamed up with a mistress, and that girl's younger sister to backstab someone, only for her to give them a taste of their own medicine after getting out. Someone's holding up a phone, live streaming. The camera is pointed at the court gates.
The title says, the person framed and sent to prison 5 years ago is here to hear her enemy's sentence. Comments are flying by. Someone's asking who the hell framed whom. Halfway through the trial, he saw me. Or rather, he saw the back row, at that person wearing a hat and a mask. He guessed it was me. He froze for a second. Then he smiled. It wasn't a bitter smile, nor was it a sneer. It was the kind of smile you have when you can finally stop pretending, like a door that had been closed for 5 years, finally being kicked open. The final first instance verdict, Fang Jieyuan, for the crime of false accusation and frame-up and for obstructing justice, is sentenced for multiple crimes to 6 years in prison. 6 years, that's 1 more year than I got. The judge stated that considering the victim was wrongfully detained for 5 years because of it, resulting in severe consequences, a harsher sentence was imposed. The moment Fang Jieyuan heard the verdict, he slumped into his chair. His defense attorney reached out to steady him, but he shrugged the hand off. Then he started laughing. It wasn't a bitter laugh. It wasn't self-mockery. It was a strange kind of relief. That same laugh. He probably finally understands now. 5 years ago, when he sent me to prison, he also thought everything was handled. But he didn't know that someone who has been uprooted will grow back on their own, and they'll be tougher and more stinging than before. The bailiffs held Fang Jieyuan. As he was being let out, his feet dragged on the floor. One of his shoes came off, revealing a gray sock. There was a hole in the sock, and his big toe was sticking out. As he passed the gallery, he stopped for a moment.
He tilted his head up.
That one look wasn't at me, nor was it at anyone else. He was looking at the lights on the ceiling. They were very bright. The white lights left no shadows in the courtroom. The bailiffs pushed him forward. He didn't look back again. His shoe was still on the floor, all alone, lying in the aisle in front of the gallery. Nobody picked it up, and the courtroom fell silent again. The judge was organizing the case files. The clerk was typing. Everything returned to order. Only that shoe served as a reminder of everything that just happened.
Su Jinyao was also convicted as an accomplice. But since she wasn't the one who committed direct perjury, her sentence was relatively light. 2 years of probation. But his life had already been shattered. Her company went bankrupt. Her reputation was ruined. Fang Jieyuan was behind bars. Not a single person came to pick her up. Her company had collapsed. Everyone he knew was now out of the picture. As he walked out of the courthouse doors, he raised his hands to shield his face. It was unclear if he was blocking the sun or something else. A row of taxis was parked in front of the courthouse. She walked toward the one at the very back. But before he could reach the door, he was surrounded by reporters. 5 microphones were shoved in front of him at once.
Miss Su, what are your plans now? Are you planning a comeback? Miss Su, regarding your former partner, who is also the current Sheng Group kingpin calling the shots, Mr. Lu Shen, do you have anything to say?
Suddenly, he stopped. She looked up and stared at the people surrounding him. The reporters fell silent for a moment. Su Jingyao said one thing. Just one sentence. Her voice wasn't loud, but every word was like a nail.
Driven into the air.
Then, he pushed through the crowd and got into the taxi. As the door closed, the driver saw his face in the rearview mirror. Her expression was as calm as stagnant water. No tears, no hatred, there was nothing left at all.
Lu Ying was sentenced to a year of probation. He was also ordered to pay back the 500,000. The sentence wasn't considered heavy. But after all, he recanted his testimony and cooperated with the investigation. Plus, he really was coerced back then. The day the verdict came out, he sent me a text. It was only a few words. I didn't reply at all. I didn't delete it either, I just left it there. It wasn't about forgiveness, it's just in the past now. A few days later, I had Lao Zhou send the keys to the house I bought at the auction to Lu Ying. Just the keys. No note. Lao Zhou didn't understand.
Weren't you going to take it back?
I did take it back. But since I'm the one who bought it, I can give it to whoever I want. But giving it to him. That house was left by my parents. It's not for him. It's for my parents. After taking care of everything, one afternoon, I went to the cemetery on the north side of town. Shen Tingyuan's grave wasn't large. A gray headstone. On it, his name and dates of birth and death were carved. There was no epitaph. He said he didn't want any of that. He lived for over 70 years. Knowing what he'd done was enough. There was no need to carve it on stone for others to see. I sat down in front of the grave. I took out my phone and opened the banking app Lawyer Win sent. I entered the password. 6 digits, my birth month and day. 6 digits. There was only one thing in the digital vault. A scanned copy of a photo. It was a photo of Shen Tingyuan when he was young, probably in his early 20s. I hope you don't end up like me, taking so long. I looked at it for a long time. The wind scattered the incense ash in front of the grave. Some paper offerings burned to ash, drifting and swirling in the air. I turned the phone screen toward the headstone, letting Shen Tingyuan see that photo of himself. The him from 20 years ago. Elder Shen was even younger than I am now. Then I poured a glass of wine. The Maotai trickled down the headstone and soaked into the earth. What you entrusted to me, I'll protect it well. Fangs has been reclaimed. That core algorithm. I've rebuilt the architecture to keep it running. The wind blows. The incense in front of the grave flickers. I poured another glass. Regarding Shengding and the situation with Sheng Bowen, I've looked into it. The evidence is being compiled. When the time is right, I'll handle it all at once. No matter how he struggles, I won't let him stay free for long.
Mr. Lu, for Shengding's offshore fund, there's a new project next week that needs your review. Also, the restructuring plan for Fang Technology. The first draft is ready. It needs your signature and an email.
I'll look at the second one tonight.
Uncle Fang sent a message through someone. He said, if it's convenient, he'd like to meet you.
Tell Uncle Fang to wait a while. Now isn't the time yet.
There's one last thing. Some of Elder Shen's old friends heard about you and want to schedule a meeting. Lawyer Win made a list of names. There are 7 or 8 of them. Some are retired, and some are still in business. Set it up.
The phone screen lights up. Bank notification, Shengding Offshore Fund, Q3 dividends received. It's a long number. Elder Shen, you said back then that some debts should be let go once they're collected. You said that about debts, and you said that about people. Once your matters are also settled, I'll try. But no matter what, I'm not looking back anymore.